Hi, Puzzle Recapped here. Today, we're diving into a movie based on a true story, Soldier Boy, or as I like to call it, How to Accidentally Become a War Hero at 6. Spoilers ahead. Buckle up and grab your slingshots. We open on a postcard-worthy day in Russia, and a family of 3 hanging out by a river, enjoying life like they're in a commercial for peace and quiet. Peaceful vibes are obliterated by German fighter jets roaring overhead like they own the sky. Mom goes full survival mode and tells the kids to hide in the bushes. But Sergei? Oh no, Sergei is built different. He fires his slingshot at the jet. Bam! The jet explodes. Yes, folks, this kid just brought down a warplane with a toy. But plot twist, when Sergei turns around, his family is gone. Turns out it was all a dream. Sergei wakes up sweating bullets, like a pickle jar in the sun, and shouting for his mom. A knock at the door makes him think she's back. But nope, it's just Aunt Neighbor Lady, barging in like she forgot how doors work. She's shaking, crying, and dropping bombshells. Your mom and brother are dead. Ouch. Sergei, being 6 and powered by denial, refuses to believe it. They're coming back, he insists. Aunt Neighbor Lady suddenly goes full action hero mode, shoving Sergei out the window just as enemy soldiers storm the house. She doesn't make it, folks. R.I.P. Meanwhile, Sergei runs for his life, the camera panning dramatically to show his neighborhood going up in flames behind him. Now alone, Sergei roams the ruins, calling for his mother. 6-year-old Sergei had just gone full Home Alone Warzone edition. Sergei runs into the forest. Night falls, and our pint-sized Rambo curls up, scared and alone. The next morning, Sergei channels his inner survivalist and drinks from a river, but before he can enjoy his wilderness spa day, enemy soldiers show up. Sergei dives into some tree roots. Oh, but wait, here comes a snake. Sergei doesn't flinch because duh, the snake is nothing compared to literal soldiers. Priorities. The soldiers decide to have a picnic by the river because even invaders need snack breaks. Once they leave, Sergei goes full scavenger mode, grabbing their leftovers, but even stolen sandwiches can't fix the fact that Sergei hasn't had a proper meal in days. He stumbles, falls, picks wild berries, and keeps going. You can't stop Sergei until an explosion behind him does. He spins around, dizzy and confused, convinced someone's following him. In a move straight out of Mad Max, he yells, "I have a gun." Spoiler, he doesn't. But hey, fake it till you make it, right? Eventually, exhaustion wins, and Sergei collapses. While he's passed out, he dreams of happier times with his family, because this movie really wants to rub salt in your emotional wounds. The next day, 2 soldiers find him and carry him back to camp. Back at camp, Sergei wakes up to the warm, fuzzy sight of soldiers laughing and joking around. Even the commander, who has a face carved out of pure stone, cracks a smile. They're all charmed by this scrappy little survivor, who shakes hands with the commander like he's sealing a business deal. One soldier jokes, "What's your name, sir?" Because apparently it's Bring Your Kid to War Day. Then we meet Katya, a nurse so sweet she could star in a Hallmark movie. She patches Sergei up while he, ever the charmer, asks her to draw a tank on his bandaged stomach. The camp transforms into a Sergei fan club as injured soldiers and battle-hardened commanders hang out with him. So Sergei, our fearless toddler with more charisma than an action hero, is now buddies with the commander. And by buddies, I mean he's grilling this war-hardened man about his gun like he's interviewing him for Soldiers Weekly. The commander, clearly weak to the Sergei charm, takes the bullets out of his pistol and lets the kid play with it. And when Sergei proudly shows off the tank Katya drew on his stomach, he declares, "I'm a soldier now!" As Sergei's wounds heal faster than a video game health bar, Katya decides it's time to test the commander's inner softie. She asks him if Sergei can stay with the battalion. Spoiler alert, the commander says no, because he's not exactly running a daycare. He plans to send Sergei to an orphanage because, let's face it, babysitting isn't in the military manual. But the soldiers? Oh, they're already head over boots for Sergei. They bring him snacks, binoculars, and random trinkets like he's the camp mascot. One guy even works up the nerve to talk to the commander about keeping Sergei. But it's a whole ordeal. He starts rambling about camp logistics like he's pitching a PowerPoint presentation before finally blurting, "Let the boy stay." The commander, unimpressed, probably gave him a look that said, "This isn't a democracy, buddy." Despite Sergei turning into the battalion's unofficial morale booster, the commander stands firm. "Safety first," he declares, clearly forgetting this kid has already survived snakes, explosions, and enemy soldiers. But then, plot twist, the camp gets attacked. Explosions everywhere, soldiers scrambling. As the chaos unfolds, a vehicle arrives to take Sergei to the orphanage. The commander, visibly torn but still committed to his no kids allowed policy, hands Sergei a wooden honorary pistol as a parting gift. A wooden pistol. Nothing says, "Thanks for saving morale, kid," like a weapon that's less effective than a stick. Sergei delivers a heartwarming speech, telling the commander he is afraid for his safety, and hugs the commander with enough emotional weight to sink the Titanic. And just like that, the commander, big, tough, emotionless commander goes full Hallmark mode. He rips up the adoption papers. Was there even a pen involved? Or are we just winging legality here? And declares Sergei his son. Cue the soldiers, who suddenly turn into a Pinterest board of creativity. Soldier clothes for the kid? Say less. There's an entire montage of grown men fussing over this tiny boy, trying to make him the most fashionable warrior Russia has ever seen. Finally, the commander himself wakes Sergei, probably like it's Christmas morning, and hands him his new uniform. Sergei? Thrilled. He's running around the camp like a caffeinated squirrel, earning the nickname Little Soldier Boy. The Germans show up, because of course they do. The air raid sirens are blaring, explosions are popping off, and the soldiers are in full-on protect the baby mode. Sergei's hustled off to safety, faster than you can say child endangerment. But does this kid chill? No. He's out there handing water to wounded soldiers like a tiny Florence Nightingale. And then it gets wild. One soldier, with his eyes bandaged and clearly at rock bottom, asks Sergei to read a letter from home. Sergei can't read, so naturally, he decides to wing it with the storytelling skills of a five-star liar. It's going great until Sergei tells him his cow is safe. The soldier, utterly baffled, goes, "What cow?" The other soldiers, thankfully, are in stitches and encourage the kid to keep going. Suddenly, Sergei's the camp's official mailman and stand-up comedian. And just when you think the camp couldn't get more wholesome yet chaotic, Sergei bursts into song. We're hit with a scene shift to romance. Enter Katya and the commander, standing at the edge of the camp in pique, and the commander trying to man up enough to confess something. But before he can channel his inner Romeo, Sergei wakes up and utterly derails the moment. Classic Sergei. The kid can dodge bombs, but not bad timing. And let's not forget Sergei shaving. Yes, you read that right. Two other soldiers find him mid-shave and decide to roast him. What's this? Prep for a date? Sergei claps back with the energy of a man thrice his age, saying, "Soldiers don't date." Sergei's walk through the camp is a whole vibe, until he spots a destroyed soldier's post. Oof. The camp's ugly truth slaps him in the face like a wet towel. Nice timing, movie. The commander, bless his heart, takes the moment to be all sentimental and teaches Sergei how to respect the fallen. "Take off your hat," he says. Sergei's little brain processes it like, got it, new rule in my tiny soldier handbook. But Sergei isn't one to sit around being sad for long. No, the next day, he marches up to the commander like a tiny, determined warlord and says, "I want a mission." The commander, clearly out of ideas, hands him an important task: deliver letters to the soldiers. Wow. World-changing. Sergei, in classic overachiever mode, starts sprinting around like he's delivering packages of joy to every man in camp. The soldiers, probably trying to figure out if they're still in a war or on a variety show, are suddenly dancing like they're at a club. Yes, dancing, because Sergei said so. The kid's got charisma, I'll give him that. Out of nowhere, this little detective spots something suspicious under a haystack. He rushes back to camp like a tiny flash of light, telling the soldiers, "I saw something." The soldiers, clearly not trusting the 6-year-old with binoculars, follow him anyway. Because why wouldn't you listen to a child who thinks mail delivery is a covert mission? They uncover 2 German spies in a haystack. How do you even get caught like that? Who needs the army when you've got a 6-year-old spy? Fast forward to the real drama. Serious business time. The commander, like some sort of emotional roller coaster, takes Sergei aside and hands him official adoption papers. Yep, Sergei's now legally his kid. Take that, paperwork. Sergei's been promoted to son status, and honestly, the ceremony was probably just a handshake and a high five. But don't get too comfortable, folks, because now Sergei decides to play Cupid. He's like, "I'm gonna help the commander get his love life together. Operation Confess Your Feelings to Katya is a go." And then, bam, plot twist. Sergei leads the commander to Katya, who's chatting up another dude. Ouch. The commander's face falls like a deflated balloon at a birthday party. So the Germans decide to throw another surprise party. Except instead of cake, it's bombs and bullets. Classic. Sergei, feeling like the star of an action flick, sprints to the front lines with ammo in hand. Like, don't worry everyone, the 6-year-old's got this. But the soldiers, probably wondering what parenting guide this came from, shove him back into the shed. Inside, chaos reigns. The phone lines are down, the commander's panicking, and Sergei's just standing there like, guess I'll save the war now. When a soldier sent to fix the wires gets taken out, nice try, buddy, Sergei steps up. He's like, "Hey, dying guy, quick tutorial, please." And the soldier, mid-expiration, gives him a how-to guide for rewiring. Sergei crawls out, fixes the line somehow, and boom, reinforcements arrive. Just your average day for a kid who probably doesn't know how to spell communication. Sergei decides it's time to play Cupid. He bursts into Katya's workspace and yells, "The commander is dying!" Katya drops everything faster than a soldier spotting free rations and bolts to Kuznetsov's quarters. Meanwhile, the commander's lying there like a poorly coached actor, pretending to be sick. Katya, full of concern, shakes him awake and he's like, What's happening? I'm fine. Cue awkward silence. Katya's face goes redder than a Soviet flag as she realizes she's been duped. Sergei, spying from outside like a tiny James Bond, grins ear to ear. But before the commander can confess his undying love, Katya nopes out of there. The commander chases her into the forest because nothing says romance like running after someone in a war zone. Back at the camp, Sergei spots a squad of rescue dogs arriving, and his brain goes, "You know what would be cool? Dog sledding." He convinces the soldiers to let him walk the dogs, which immediately turns into him hitching a ride on a stretcher. For a moment, it's pure bliss. But then disaster strikes. The dogs spot a cat and go full Mad Max, dragging Sergei toward a literal minefield. Yes, a minefield. Rezo, the camp's resident action hero, sees this unfolding and goes, "Not on my watch." He hops on a motorcycle like he's auditioning for Fast and Furious Eastern Front and zooms after them. Sergei's safe, the dogs are wrangled, and the cat probably still traumatized. Somewhere in the damp forest, Kuznetsov finally corners Katya like a lost puppy pretending to be a wolf. He's panting, trying to sound cool, but instead blurts, "So, Sergei likes you. Want to be his mom?" And wow, if that isn't the smoothest pickup line since cavemen invented grunting. Katya stares at him, caught somewhere between awe and, did this guy just propose on behalf of a 6-year-old? Before this hallmark moment can bloom, a soldier busts in like, "Hey, lovebirds, bad news. Command says we gotta pack up and go." Kuznetsov reads the letter with all the enthusiasm of someone opening a utility bill. And just like that, the tender mood dies faster than a side character in Act 2. The next day, under a sky so gray it could be mistaken for a corporate PowerPoint slide, they stop at a peasant village. Just when the soldiers think they might catch a break, one villager casually mentions, "Oh yeah, there's a bomb in our house." No biggie, it didn't explode. Yet, cue the entire battalion turning into DIY bomb techs. Armed with zero training but infinite guts, they somehow managed to disarm the thing. No explosions, no casualties, but plenty of sweaty foreheads. Nice save, team. Feeling victorious, the battalion presses on. Sergei's chilling in the vehicle with Rezo and Kuznetsov. Then, boom, an unseen mine flips their vehicle like a pancake on Sunday morning. The air fills with smoke, chaos, and the sound of Sergei's tiny shoes stumbling away from the wreckage. He spots Rezo, lying lifeless, tears streaming down his face as dramatic music swells in the background. We kick things off with the soldiers dragging their muddy, wounded selves across a terrain so damp they stumble upon their new base. At the gates, the general appears. He's got a face so stern it could carve stone, until he spots Sergei. Suddenly, he's all soft eyes and, "Look at the war, baby!" He congratulates the commander for raising this pint-sized patriot, as if Sergei didn't just stumble into their lives uninvited. The next morning, the soldiers gather under the sun for a "We survived another day" ceremony. The general whips out a shiny badge and calls Sergei to the front, like a soldier-sized Boy Scout being promoted to Eagle Scout of War. Sergei accepts the honor with a look so solemn you'd think he was swearing in as president, promising to protect his country, while probably thinking, "What's a country again?" Cue thunderous cheers from the soldiers, who are just glad for a break from dodging bullets. But the universe is like, "Oh, you thought you could have a nice night? Ah!" Cue explosions. The base lights up like a malfunctioning 4th of July show as German bombs rain down. Amid the chaos, a building crumbles and traps the commander. Sergei digs through the rubble. His tiny, bloody hands claw at debris as he screams, "Daddy!" Nearby soldiers see this emotional wreck of a scene and immediately start digging too, because what are war-hardened adults compared to the determination of a weeping child? They free the commander. The next morning, Sergei, hands wrapped in so much gauze he looks like he's auditioning for a mummy movie, visits the injured commander. He's officially one of the team now, right? Which is both heartwarming and wildly concerning, because hey, isn't this a child? As the soldiers prepare to move out, Sergei marches alongside them with the determination of someone who hasn't realized he's literally living through history. Don't forget to tamper with the subscribe button and smash the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates.